Don't you just wish that when you're looking around your messy home that you could just snap your fingers and bam, everything is all decluttered, organized, and clean? Well, unfortunately, in real life, these things take time. I just love a weekend project. And this weekend, I am tackling our small home office. We're going to declutter and organize all of our games, hobbies, activities, work from home items, and our office supplies. I'm going to put everything on my big table. We're going to lay it all out, see what we have to work with, and then we're going to start decluttering and organizing all of those things. Whatever we put back is going to go in the cabinet, in this new system I have for my husband, and of course the desk drawer. You can watch this video and just enjoy it, or you can join me. Your choice. Okay, let's get started. It's going to be quite a lot of things, but you'll be shocked at how this all comes together. This is even more than I thought that I had. Now, to some of you, this might not seem like a lot. And to some of you, it might seem like a whole lot. But to me, it does seem like a little bit more than what I'm comfortable with. But this just happens naturally over time when you don't have time to get to an organization project. So it's all about being present. Don't be in your past with hobbies and activities that you used to do. Be in your present moment with what you are doing right now. Because certain things are in our lives for only a season. Just because we pick up a hobby or an activity doesn't mean we need to do this for the rest of our lives. Right now we're going to go through all of this stuff and declutter what we can. And then the fun part starts where we're going to organize. For me, I like to use my special decluttering basket. It just makes me happy while I'm decluttering. For you, you could have a basket, a box, or a bag, whatever you want. You might also want to grab a trash can. And if you think in your own home office you might have things that belong elsewhere, you can even have a separate bin for things that you need to put somewhere else. Now, I've recently gone through these to make sure that none of them are dried out. But if you haven't done that with yours, prior to putting them in a storage solution like this, make sure that you go through and take a piece of paper and just marker it a little bit, because there's nothing more frustrating, at least to me, is going to use a marker and then it will not finish writing. This is something that I should have done a long time ago, but just never got to it. You know, life happens and we got to be easy on ourselves, but when we get to do a fun project like this, oh, it's so much. It's just going to be a game changer. I hope you're enjoying this video so far. If you are, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you don't mind, leave me a comment and give me some of your small office organization tips. I would love to hear from you. I have to maneuver things a little bit more. Okay. It's always, whenever you're organizing, I don't want you guys to feel afraid to just maneuver things around. Things don't always fit perfectly to begin with. It just is never going to happen. So don't feel like you're not organizing the right way. It's like a puzzle. That's what I always like to say. Organizing is like a puzzle. And it is going to take a little bit of maneuvering to find just the right way to do it. And that's the fun part to me. I love that part. So don't get frustrated with yourself if you pick out the wrong organizing solution, it doesn't quite work out, and you need to exchange it for something that does. That's all right. Don't worry. I always like to make sure that the kids did not put ones back that are all crusty, because there's nothing like thinking you have what you need to paint only to find one that is just like this, all crusted and will not work anymore. So that is going to go in the trash. Do you guys have a cat like this that's always present? She loves to help out. Her name is Gigi, in case you haven't watched one of my older videos. Right now, I'm going to take a minute and put the games back in the cabinet. Make sure that when you declutter things out of a basket or a bin that you wipe that out and then see if you can repurpose it while you're doing this job. And if you can't, maybe you can use it elsewhere in your home. For me, when I buy organization tools like this basket, I like to get a good quantity, at least 4, because I always know that if I'm not using it in one space, it's really likely that I'll find another home for it elsewhere in my house. Not to mention, in a small space, if you have uniformity and you use the same types of items instead of 10 different types of items, it's going to look really good. One unique idea for organizing small office things that you don't want to get hurt by, like these needles, is putting them in little jars. I think they're pretty, first of all. I actually think you could even leave these out if you wanted to. If you have sticker packs that you like to use for making cards like me, and you have a pack that barely has any stickers left, it's a safe bet that you could just let that go. One of the things I always do before I put things back is I just clean up drawers and just take a little damp paper towel or cloth and wipe them out, because that makes everything nice and clean, and it's just, you're getting a fresh start, right? Now, a little side story is that when I was a little kid, this desk was actually in my house. We used to put my bird cage on it, plus all of my mom's plants. She was a big plant lover too. What we're going to do next is I'm going to unpack the little organizers that I got from my drawer, because I'm noticing I have a lot of little things that just need to find a proper home. I have these bins here, and they're actually refrigerator bins. I got them from Home Goods a long time ago, and I thought, well, you know, just because this isn't an office organization thing doesn't mean that I can't use them for that purpose. I always like to do that, and I like the colors in that, but this just has not been working for us. This is why it is not working, because it's all just a hodgepodge mess. There's no organization. And I feel that if I implement this system instead, it will take things like, where's my print? It'll take things like my printer cartridges or clips or those tiny items that really tend to float around and just put them in a certain place. And I am so excited about this. It's going to make all the difference. I might actually use these for their original intended purposes in my fridge. I think that these would be great because I could just pull them out like they were a drawer, and I could see it functioning pretty well. So I will probably repurpose these. If you guys have any comments or suggestions on what I could repurpose these for around my house, please let me know. We got some extra cords here. I need to actually ask my husband what those are exactly for. This is the throwback mask that I made in the pandemic. Remember when everybody was sewing up masks? Well, that was me too. In fact, the funniest thing is that I had just gotten a sewing machine about 4 or 5 months before the pandemic hit. My daughter and I took a sewing class because we were trying to do an activity together that we enjoyed. And so I bought this old sewing machine and I ended up making everybody masks. It was kind of a crazy time. And my husband's kind of sentimental when it comes to things, but why he is keeping this old mask, I don't know. And the other thing I have going on right now that I have a lot of is printer cartridges. I'm going to see if they'll fit on the side of the staplers or on the side of the staples. And I'm taking them out of the box. Just make sure there's nothing else in there. We're going to trash that and declutter that box. Well, I had a little bit of a snafu. As soon as I started putting these organizers into my drawer, I realized that they were not right for me. The sides are slanted, the plastic is thin, I couldn't fit a lot in them, and as soon as I started putting them in the drawer, I realized they're not fitting well at all. So I did a little research and I found these. They are absolutely perfect. They've got straight sides, they're well constructed, they fit a lot in them, and they fit great in my drawer. Just in case you're in the market for these, I'll put a link in my description so that you don't make the same mistake that I did. And this is how beautiful my drawer has turned out now. I came across these sticker letters, and there's absolutely no purpose for these. I used these for a project with my son at one point, and now there's just nothing that I'm going to use them for. In fact, all of the most common letters that I would ever use are gone. So this is going to get decluttered. I'm going to part ways or declutter some of these envelopes. I just don't use them. At Halloween time, we do our pumpkin party, and we pull these out so that we could paint our pumpkins. So if they're in a Ziploc bag like this, I'm not seeing what I have. That's why I'm really excited about the solution today. Put these in a Lazy Susan, and then when we do have our party, it just can be easily rotated around when people are needing a certain color. So I'm excited about that. And we also have things like this glazing medium or decoupage stuff or this little craft glue. All of that kind of stuff is going to go in here. Look at this. I have this entire bin filled with their paints and with my grandmother's glue guns. So it is absolutely perfect. When we want to do a craft project, we just pull this out. This is a game changer for my family. I'm telling you, this kind of stuff has been because these kind of things have been sitting in Ziploc bags, really getting banged around, and it's just not an efficient use of space at all. If you have adjustable shelving, don't be afraid to maneuver that. That is like one of the key things in organization. If you have something that can adjust and you put it to the measurements of something that you're currently working with, that is going to be so much better than trying to hodgepodge your way through it and just kind of, cramming things into what currently is the setting of your shelving. Another thing I'm going to finally declutter is my houseplants magazine. I love houseplants. I really do. It's one of those passions of mine. I love to take care of them, wipe their leaves off, transplant them when needed. It's just an activity I really enjoy. But I read this cover to cover a long time ago, and I have not reached for it since. So it can go now. Another little quick tip, if you have things for your kids or yourself for that matter, like these little note cards, they're really not the quality that they used to be. They're really, really thin, almost like paper thin these days. If the little plastic sleeve has come apart and they're all loose, you can rubber band them or you can stick them in a Ziploc bag, and that way they won't get damaged. A lot of times we get these little directories and we get multiples. Sometimes you get them every year. We tend to just put the new ones in the drawer, but we never declutter the old ones. So I just noticed that about us. We have these two directories here in particular. I'm going to only keep the most updated one, and I'm going to declutter the other one. These are all of the organization supplies that I'm not going to be using in this room any longer. But the great thing is that these baskets right here are something that I have all over my house. So I know that I can repurpose them. And like I mentioned before, I think with the gray bins, they're actually intended to be used in the fridge. I'm going to give it an attempt to use them there. And these cute little ivory colored bins with the gray handles, I have a few ideas of where I'm going to use those next. One of the things I'm definitely decluttering today is this loose leaf notebook paper. We never ever use this stuff. We always just use the notebooks with the perforated paper that you can rip out if you need to. I'm going to declutter this Hungry Hippos game. I'm actually going to put it downstairs for right now in our storage area until I get a chance to ask the kids if it's something that they want me to save for them. But for right now, it does not need to stay in our office cabinet. That's for sure. It's just taking up a lot of space, and the box doesn't shut no matter how hard I try. It just does not want to cooperate. Now, my husband started working out of our house in the pandemic, and we've never quite found the right solution for his work stuff until today. The system will allow him to take it on the road with him to the office or even when we're traveling. I want to show you one more thing about these before we start loading them up, and that is this. When you open up the sides, the door just hangs down. It doesn't come off, it just simply hangs open. So you can have this open during the day at your desk and pull out whatever it is that you need right in front of you. You don't have to open the top. Therefore, if you're like my husband and you want to use it for putting your laptop or putting extra paperwork or whatever, you don't have to access anything through the top. You could just access it through the side. So I'm going to start putting my husband's things in these bins, and then we're going to set it up next to the desk so you can see exactly how it looks. I'm not quite sure why my husband keeps all of the old dates on the calendar that's not good anymore, so I'm going to set these in a pile just in case he has a reason. I actually really love this green color. I find it very pretty and calming. And that's really the kind of colors that I have in my home are greens, blues, whites, grays, ivories. Those kind of colors just for me bring a sense of calm. And since I do have anxiety, I need that. These bins are going to be such a game changer. Now that they're all filled up, I'm going to put them on top of one another and roll them on the side of the cabinet. And I figure it has the perfect space. Oh my gosh, this is perfect. Oh, I'm thrilled. Like, I'm so excited. So as you can see, these bins are just tucked away to the side, and he can easily roll them out right next to the desk to start his new work week on Monday. But in the meantime, when the rest of the family wants to use this space like we used to before the pandemic, we're able to do it without seeing all of the work things. Okay, well, we are all done, and I'm so excited to show you how it turned out. Right up here, I have a smaller Lazy Susan and then a larger Lazy Susan. The small one has markers and scissors and things like that. And then the bigger one has what I'm really excited about, that was down in this drawer at one point and really just hard to find and to get to, is my grandmother's hot glue guns, hot glue sticks, and then a couple of miscellaneous things like that, plus our paints. Now, we have a pretty artistic family, and these paints are something that I was keeping in a plastic bag, but they just were not easy to get into. Well, my dog just showed up. We have all of our games down on this shelf. I did relocate our Hungry Hippos game because it just didn't fit nice in here. We don't use that game any longer, but these games here we do. The first basket houses all of my camera equipment, which is a hobby of mine. The second one has all of our duct tape. We had a load of that stuff, and just having it in a basket just makes it nice and neat. The third bin right here has my kids' video game stuff, just the little handheld games and physical games. That's all contained in one basket now, instead of, again, floating around this drawer. Now, what I'm really excited about here is I have more bins. These are actually, all of these cream colored bins are repurposed from when we had that giant shelf. If you saw my Are You Overwhelmed When You're Decluttering video, I explained that we had a giant shelf on this wall before we had this cabinet. And in that video, you could see all of these white bins. It was really turning out to be a storage unit. It wasn't really effective at all. But in this drawer, it makes sense to use them. And here I have my candles. In this box right here is a little bit of miscellaneous things like my diffuser that I use to get fabric pills off of it. In this one here, I have all of my grandma's thread and needles, and I'm really excited. So this is sort of like a little sewing kit. And then down here, this is so exciting. This is sort of my crafting kind of drawer. This bin right here, I have all of my stickers for card making and envelopes and cards. And then here I have my yarn for crocheting, and right here is a sewing project that I need to remember to do. I don't want to forget that. And right here is all the paper that I use for my card making. So this turned out absolutely fantastic. I couldn't be happier with this job. When I'm done with any project that I do like this, I have such a feeling of accomplishment. And that's what I hope you get today too. These paintings were made by my kids and I love them. I think I'm finally going to just frame them. Why not display these in my home? I have just the wall for them. I'll have to show you that photograph picture soon. It's going to be in one of my upcoming videos. Visual clutter is something I try, if at all possible, to eliminate. Watch for that video. It'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button. And while you're at it, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel.